Alright, hey everyone, it's Eric here with toolsinaction.com. Today I'm very excited. We're actually going to go over a boiler. I've been living in this house for a while. We used to have a big boiler down here that was, this thing was huge. And the big thing about it is it was very inefficient. It was always running constantly. So what I ended up doing is I started talking to different contractors, HVAC guys, kind of picking their brains to see what the best boiler was out there. And time again, I kept hearing the name Crown Boilers. So naturally, that's the one who I kind of started going to, looking at. First started doing some research. I went to their website, and I have to say, on their website is awesome. Very interactive. They've got a lot of information on there, and it was cool because all I had to do was put in there, okay, here's what I'm looking for, and it would take me step by step, and it finally came up, and it told me about the Aruba. So that's the one I looked into. I ended up calling them, asking them some questions. They were very friendly, very helpful, informative, and stuff like that. So that's what I ended up going with. We got it delivered, and even when it was delivered, it was crated up, it was protected, so I know during shipping it wasn't like banged around, it wasn't hit. So ended up, the old one was a pain to take out of here, but we took it out, got this one in here. Now, for this video, we're not going to go over how to install it because you really want to use a licensed contractor to install this. The homeowner doesn't want to do it, you're dealing with gas, you're dealing with electric and other things along that line. So I've got a friend who I've been using with on different jobs, Steve from Lasco Industries, and this guy is awesome, very reasonable. The guy knows what he's doing, very professional. And as we're going to say, Chris came down here, he looked at it, and right away, same thing Chris said is, man, this guy did a good job, very efficient. So, but as a homeowner, the big things for me, this thing has a lot of different things that it can do, which Chris is going to touch and talk about. But for me, I want something that's efficient and quiet. And you know what? I can't ask for anything more. This is exactly what it's done. And I know this may not be a big deal, but even the damper automatically opens and closes. The old one I had, it was just open all the time. So when the boiler wasn't running, I could always feel cold air coming in here. Now with the damper closed, it prevents that backdraft coming down here. So that's a big deal. The other thing, this thing is quiet. Now you're going to hear during the video, this thing's going to fire up a couple times during the video. It is really quiet. I wish I would have had videos of the old one, but unfortunately the old one wasn't even working, so we couldn't get videos on that. But for noise reduction, this thing, the pump, you can barely hear the pump even on. Once the flame kicks on, that's really all you can hear. When it's running, you can't hear it. But what Steve did is he actually hooked up 3 zones. I didn't even know about the zones. I didn't know about anything like that. But he came down and he told me, he's like, hey, this is a great boiler, but let's make it even more efficient. So I hooked up a zone, so I got one just for the basement, I got one just for the bedrooms, and I got one just for the living area, living room, dining room, and kitchen and all that. So, which Chris is going to talk about too. So I'm going to turn over to Chris and have him talk a little bit about it.
Some of the new features and benefits are, on this boiler, it's now thinner and it's now taller, so you can use it in certain closet applications. So a lot of people don't realize that you can put these in a closet application. So some of the other features, and a lot of everything used to be on the outside, the aquastat, the gas valve, everything was on the outside, so it was, getting space, getting in and out. Or now if you see, everything is on the inside. You got your gas valve, you got your new control board, which almost makes this boiler like a furnace. So in the past, you had to work on the aquastat and everything. Well, now everything is right here at the controls of your fingertips. So you can adjust your set points, your water temperature, your high limits. You can adjust your temperature differentials from anywhere from 10 to 20 degrees. So you can also do all your troubleshooting. All your troubleshooting codes come up on this board. And to change everything, you just hold the 2 buttons in here, and then it cycles up and down, and then you adjust them. Once it locks in to say your high limit, which would be HL. So if you want to set your water temperature. Now everything comes also factory installed. There's set points that are already factory installed, which will be in the installation instructions. So if your contractor wants to look at it, he can look at that and see what the set points are that are already on this boiler.
Yeah, that's one thing I really like is that you can easily just go back, you can see what number's there, and
yeah, so you know right where you're at. You can read it. It's like I said, it's like a furnace control board now. But I think a little bit step above because all the codes are right on the board.
Plus, weren't you telling me earlier, like you can do like just different modules and stuff like that?
Well, there's also a new module. It's called the OCP panel that you can put on here, that you can dock up here. It just came out probably a month ago. You can dock up here, and you can hook in different cards where you can hook in a low water cutoff, or you can hook in an outdoor reset control. So right now here, it's already set up. Before you used to have to hardwire a low water cutoff. It's already set up. You take the jumper out here on this here, you can take a little 24 low water cutoff kit and plug it into the board, and Crown does offer that low water cutoff, so as an option, or you can hook an outdoor reset, or you can get the whole panel and you can do both. So plug and play, more or less. So before in the past,
really
you had to
cool.
do, like your thermostat over there, you had to do hard wiring.
Okay.
So that's one of the main features. It's also set up where you can hook up an indirect water heater, so you can run all your domestic water off of this as well. So you can run the heating and your domestic water with the store.
So then you really wouldn't need your hot water heater anymore.
Exactly.
Nice.
So, and that indirect will keep that water warm for hours.
Oh wow. Okay.
So it's got to hook up on there. You also have the option on this board to run 2 zones already set up. So you can run 2 zones, which the gentleman here on this boiler application actually has 3 zones, which is even better. You know, I mean, he's really done a good job of making it so this boiler is even more efficient. So last year, the reason this boiler had to change is because the efficiencies, the DOE came out with higher efficiencies needed for cast iron boilers,
okay.
Residential and commercial as well. So the way that Crown was able to to get higher efficiencies is with this control. What it's called is thermal purge. So what happens is, depending on what you have your water temperature set at, say you have it 150. So when after your boiler, fires up and sends out, satisfies each zone, what happens then is say it's really cold, and right after that you're going to have another, call for heat. If there's already energy sitting in this boiler and temperatures around 140, 150, all that's going to happen is this boiler is going to fire up, the pump's going to turn on, and it's going to shoot out and satisfy the system. So that way you're saving energy. Instead of energy sitting there dying down, you're saving energy because you're not firing your burners and you're using what you already have. So that's what's called thermal purge.
Okay. And I've noticed that since this has been installed, it's just things like that. I'm like, man, it's not firing up, but you start feeling like I'll be up in the bedroom. You can,
that's
tell
why
it's getting warm, and
that's why you feel that. So the other, like I said, the one main thing I want to touch on is the contractor did a great job of zoning the boilers, putting it in different zones. The kitchen and the living room area are covered. The basement's covered on one zone, and the other zone is the bedrooms. Mm-hmm. So that way you're using less energy as well, because you're only instead of satisfying the whole house, you're doing different zones. So you're going to be using less energy, to satisfy that area because it's a smaller area. So he did a very good job on that, and he actually even went wireless on 2 of the thermostats with Honeywell, which, that was a very, very good move on his part. So some of the other main features of this boiler's got so many, I can talk for a long time on this boiler. So, but the one main feature, and we were talking earlier, Eric and I were talking about how you can feel the difference between, everybody says, oh, forced air. You can feel the difference because you're getting radiant heat coming off of those baseboards, which is a more true heat, where forced air is more spotty. Yes, it's 95% efficient, but it might not be, comfortable in certain areas because it's bouncing off of everything as it comes out. Mm-hmm. So it's only, whereas in the radiant, it radiates out throughout the room. So that's one of the main differences between forced air and boiler heat. But you can do a lot of different things with boilers. They do have 90% efficient boilers now too, condensing boilers that you can get.
okay.
So, and you can run, same thing, you can run your domestic, your domestic water and your heat off of one boiler with an indirect. So, and that's set up as well. So the other good main features on this boiler is you got a very good BTU range from 38,000 up to 280,000, depending on what size you're going to need. Mm-hmm. So a lot of boilers also only are able to pipe to one side. So say we were over in the corner over there and you needed left-hand piping, but you couldn't, it was already set for right-hand piping, you couldn't do a change. On a lot of the cast iron boilers, they're set up that way. With the Crown, there's a little plug on each side that you can take and you can flip the piping over one side to the other. So that'll give you, so you're more or less getting 2 boilers in one. So people don't realize that until they take it down in the basement, like, oh, I need a different boiler.
Yeah.
Well, with this one, you do not have to do that. So you can take it and switch it right over. So that's that's probably my favorite feature besides the control board on this boiler.
Okay.
Is that, you got a 2-for-1.